bad news is that the bad news in this chapter is like what I used to do problem marking. Here there is no problem marking. You see, all are so smart people. You understand there is. So there may be repetitions in questions also. So there is no issue if there is a repetition in a question. 115 questions because some questions are repeating. That's practice version. MCQs, I did not find any question. Advita, if you have logged on, the rule is the camera needs to be on, beta, number one. Number two, see, I've been waiting for you. If you are actually thinking to join online, whatever is it, these are prerequisites. Better please do this before the class. I don't see my mobile once the class starts. So, and it sets everything for a toss. See, then I have to go back. Whole week I have requested you to make your Skype ID. You are letting me know your Skype ID now. There has to be mutual respect. I mean, I am following the Skype ID for your benefit, not for my benefit. Because if you don't have the Skype ID, you don't get. Now you are giving me, just I happen to see my mobile, I saw that you are logging online. Now, I don't know whether you got up late or you got delayed. But one thing is very pakka. Once the class starts, these things you should have handy with you, that you know how do we log online and what happens. And at 10:32 you can't make the request. I mean, let's honor each other's time. And if you log online, then the rule is very simple, beta. You have to have your camera on. So if you can keep your camera on, that helps me. Okay, right. So we start with polynomials today. As usual, this class I will dedicate for, I may pick up one or two problems also. I will dedicate for the particular things that are the aspects. ये देखो ये पहले ही दिमाग टॉस हो जाता है ना तो right. So what is a polynomial? Polynomial is an algebraic expression where the power of the variable always has to be a whole number. These are grade 9 stuff. Okay, the power of the variable always has to be a whole number. Our chapter in grade 10 starts with the concept first with degree. As I write these, I'll ask you, and if you don't know, don't think I get angry or something. सीधा बोलो, नहीं बोलने से फंस जाओगे. How many of you do not know degree? There is no shame. कोई है anyone who does not understand degree? If you don't understand, tell. There is no point in hiding. पता है? आदि बोल तो degree क्या है? Yeah. So what will happen? This will be an algebraic expression. So an algebraic expression can have one variable or more than one variable. Okay, say for example I have an algebraic expression which is 5x squared plus y squared plus 2xy plus 3. Now, is this a polynomial? Yes, this is a polynomial. But what is the problem? This is a polynomial in two variables x and y, and be very happy when you see something CBSE has said this is not there in your syllabus. So you have only polynomials in one variable. It can be either a px or it can be either a py or a pz, pr, जो भी है एक ही variable होगा. समझ में आया? Once it is in one variable, let's say we expand this and just take a standard polynomial. Say it is 5x squared plus 2x plus 3. ये एक polynomial है. Now what do? I arrange the polynomials in the order of decreasing degrees, and the highest variable's power is the highest power of the variable is known as my degree. Understood? Because grade 10 depends all on degree. And now we go by degree. So if the degree is equal to 0, we call it a constant polynomial. है ना? जैसे 5. आपको 5 दिख रहा है, but I see it as 5x to the power 0, which is also 5. This is a constant polynomial. Then comes linear. Linear means 5x. The degree will always be 1. Then comes quadratic. Quadratic means 5x squared. This is quadratic. And then comes cubic. Cubic ka matlab 5x cube. Will not go too much of gyan. These two will be what will be hovering as ghost for you in class 10. Quadratic and cubic. Okay? Aage badhe. So far, any doubt? Anyone has a doubt? Nobody hesitates. Stops me right then and there. Sir, I did not understand. No issues. तुमको लगता है मैं गुस्सा होता हूँ, but you know my anger goes away, comes quickly, goes away quickly also. So I'll not be angry, but please do not suppress. चले आगे. Right? Degree. So we will be dealing more with quadratics in this chapter, and this chapter has a direct relation with quadratic equation also. So we will be dealing with quadratic polynomial, and we will also deal with cubic polynomial. So if we deal with both of them, we should know how the ghosts look like. That is the standard form: ax square plus bx plus c, and this will be ax cube plus bx squared plus cx plus d equal to 0 mat likhna. That is quadratic equation. This is only polynomial. Fine. The next thing comes again, grade 9, value of a polynomial. You will say, sir, why you're asking value of a polynomial? Value of a polynomial is always defined for some value of x, say x equal to c. So we say, what is the value of px at x equal to c? Okay, so we say value of px at x equal to c is given by p of c. Value of a polynomial at x equal to c is given by p of c. Are we fine? ठीक है, ये ग्रेड 9 में पूछा जाता है. You will be using applications of this. So what all did we understand? We started our discussion with polynomial. We started with polynomial. Then we discussed about degree. Then we discussed about value. In degree, we know that 2 and 3 are going to haunt us. Quad, cube. समझ में आया भाई साहब? आज की कहानी इतना ही हुआ है. ठीक है, इसको मिटाया. आगे चलते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज zero of a polynomial. Zero of a polynomial. See, I am writing p of x, but don't become an idiot and write p of x everywhere. If the polynomial is in y, then please write p of y. Zero of a polynomial. Next thing that we are learning. What is zero of a polynomial? Zero of a polynomial means that value was, अर्थ क्या पढ़ाई कर रहे थे आजकल, of x which makes px equals to 0. Very good. Oh, sorry, I used to say this. और यार नहीं बोलता है, बोल एकदम शौर्य ने. हाँ, आपके करवा चौथ तो नहीं किया ना शौर्य के नाम पे तुम्हें? होल दिन खाना नहीं खाया, एंड देन यू चांद देख के ही मैं खाया. सौर्य सो रहा होगा तभी वहां पे दिन है. ठीक है, वैल्यू ऑफ x which makes px equal to 0. Now a question we can get here is evaluate or find zeros. Although this is again grade 9 level, evaluate or find zeros. So I told you the two type of polynomials that we will be hunting a lot us here is that quadratic and cubic. They will not give you a cubic polynomials 0 to be found out because you don't know how to solve a cubic equation. So here usually this will be a part of a problem. This will be a part of a problem where I might have a quadratic polynomial. And I have to evaluate zeros. Okay, I have to evaluate zeros. That means the quadratic polynomial has to be made equal to 0. Do you agree? What does the quadratic polynomial look like? Ax square plus bx plus c has to be made to be equal to 0. Wow. This is now taking us to a chapter which is called quadratic equations. And here comes the question from quadratics that it is not evident that every time zeros, it is not sure that every time zeros will exist. 0 may exist. We will use some knowledge of quadratic equation now. 0 may exist, 0 may not exist. So ऐसे case में what we do now, first is let us say how to find out. To find the zeros, we have got two formats. Either you do midterm splitting, which is also known as factorization, midterm splitting, or if your bad luck is bad, then you go by the quadratic formula. Have you understood? Nobody will test you on these two things in this chapter. They have got a chapter called quadratic equations where they'll test you on this. What we also need to have in mind out here is that if you are solving a quadratic polynomial, though this is from quadratic equation, please know the meaning of a word called discriminant. Criminal nahi, criminant, discriminant. Discriminant is denoted by D, whose value is B square minus 4AC. Then if D is greater than 0, then you will have unique roots. Unique roots, in either case, unique roots or unique zeros, means there will be two zeros and both the zeros will be different from each other. Means in this case, I will have an alpha and a beta, and the alpha will not be equal to beta, and they exist. If my D becomes equal to 0, then alpha and beta will have the same value, and we call that this polynomial has got equal zeros. 1 0 telling twice. Okay. और यहाँ एक और knowledge रखेंगे. Please, I'm just deviating a bit. If you are a linear polynomial, linear means degree is equal to 1. Therefore, zeros, not zeros. Count of zeros. The count of zeros can be only 1. If your degree is 2, then your count is 0, 1 or 2. Maximum 2 zeros or 1 0 or no zeros. This was the criteria of 2 zeros. This is the criteria of 1 0. I have only 1 0. Alpha or beta value में तो एक ही है ना, so it's 1 0. And there can be no zeros. So what is that no zero criteria? Let us see. If discriminant is less than 0, then in that case alpha and beta is DNE, does not exist. No real roots, does not exist. अच्छा ऐसे देखो तो क्या होता है? In this particular equation, what are the roots given by alpha, beta, or somebody may say sir x1 and x2, whatever way you say. This will be equal to minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. And dear children, what is this thing? This is the discriminant. Therefore, we write it as minus b plus minus root d divided by 2a. अब तुम खुद ही सोचो, any positive numbers root exist? Yes. Therefore, if d is greater than 0, you will get roots. If d is equal to 0, then this part becomes 0. You have only one root, which is b by 2a. And if d is less than 0, then you are root under negative. Not possible. Not possible. That's why it's understood. Quadratic का case clear हुआ? Zeros. Okay. Remember three things, children. A polynomial, listen, keep listening what I'm saying. A polynomial is said to be quadratic if the degree is equal to 2. If the degree is 2, at most I will find two zeros, alpha and beta, or you may call them as x1 and x2. Better call them alpha and beta because alpha beta is a better acronym that we will be practicing. This does not mean that every time we will have two zeros. That is the maximum count of zeros. So the zeros can be laddu, not by value, by count. Laddu means no zero. 1 0 means alpha and beta have the same value. And 2 zeros means alpha, beta both exist and both exist by unique values. Clear? Okay? Also remember that if you are a quadratic polynomial, ये भी लिख के रखिए, ये भी लिख के रखिए. If you are quadratic, then your degree is how much? 2. Then your number of factor is also equal to 2. एक quadratic polynomial के दो ही factor हो सकते हैं. Here there is nothing called 1 factor, 2 factor, or at most. Has to be 2 factors. Has to be 2 factors. So some children might argue with me, sir, I have a polynomial which is like x square plus 2x plus 1. Is this a quadratic polynomial? Yes. Sir, this polynomial can be written as x plus 1 whole square. How can you say there are 2 factors? I tell, oh Bhutnika, there are 2 factors. See, there are 2 factors. 2 factors to hoega hi hoega. Huh? Quadratic means 2 factors. Linear means only 1 factor. Cubic means 3 factors. Biquadratic means 4 factors. Biquadratic के कितने zeros हो सकते हैं? 0, no zeros, 1 0, 2 0, 3 0, or 4 zeros. And cubic, how many zeros? At most 3. So you have understood. Good. Guys are working hard. I like that. Can I rub this off? Oh, nowadays, why should I always rub this off? I think we can light. I don't know. I can add one more screen. Yeah, Zoe, I'm so poor enough to. Okay, right. Let's go to the next screen. So I have not played with this item. Okay, let's take a cubic polynomial. Cubic polynomial. The standard form of a cubic polynomial is ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Okay, this polynomial will give me zeros, and the max count of zeros is 3. 3 is the max. However, here also you can have no zeros, 1 0, 2 zeros, or 3. The 3 zeros of a cubic polynomial are said to be alpha, beta, and gamma. Alpha, beta, and gamma. Whereas for quadratic, we always say alpha and beta. Okay, understood? Can I wipe this off? Okay, so we go back to our previous screen and we update our chart zeros. So we have done with zeros. We're done. 1 2 3 4. Okay, fine. Let's go. Next, this is also done. Now we understand what is known as geometric interpretation of zero. Oh, geometric interpretation of zero. 1 minute. So we understand geometric meaning of zero. Very easy to understand. Geometric meaning of zero means I have a polynomial p of x. It's the best way to see it with the quadratic. Say p of x has been equated to 0. And the equation of x-axis is what? Y equal to 0. When you do p of x equal to 0, you get the value of x. So it is what? It is the intersection of these two. Y, this thing is nothing but the x-axis. X-axis equation is y equal to 0, grade 9. And px equal to 0 can also be written as y equal to 0. So between these two persons, you are trying to find a solution. You're trying to find a solution between your polynomial and x-axis. So what is the solution? Two fighting people. Yeah, I don't like you. I don't like you. Solution means where they handshake. Where they handshake. That is basically where my graph is going to, intersect with what? Intersect with x-axis. So if you have something called linear, let's say if we have linear, a linear can intersect x-axis only once, whatever way you say, here, there. If it intersects, it will intersect only once. That's why linear has got only 1 0. This is the 0. Say this point, or this point will be something minus a0. So this value is the 0. This is the 0 in graph. Understood? Now when we were talking about quadratic, okay, जब हम quadratic की बात कर रहे थे, quadratic. So we said in quadratic, I usually say there is alpha beta, but I also say that alpha and beta can be such that alpha is not equal to beta. Both exist. I say alpha equal to beta. This can be one more scenario. And the third scenario is that alpha and beta both do not exist. You agree? That means two matlab दो जगह cut करना चाहिए. कहाँ? The function should cut the graph at two places. So one of the option can be कि function ऐसा हो या फिर function ऐसा हो. ऐसा भी हो, दो जगह cut कर दिया. So this is criteria number 1. This is criteria number 1, which is this. Have you understood? Instead of defacing the graph, I'm just taking these lines back. Okay. Now if I see alpha equal to beta, अच्छा alpha equal to beta मतलब ऐसा line होगा जो कि सिर्फ एक point को touch करके जाएगा. This is the point which is alpha equal to beta. The graph could have been like this also. The graph could have been like this also, or the graph could have been like this also, or the graph could have been y equal to x square is a typical graph which starts from the origin. ये थोड़ा समझ लीजिए. ऐसा ये फंक्शन नहीं होगा, ये पॉलिनोमियल है, ये फंक्शन नहीं होगा. इसमें भी एक ही जगह छू रहा है. If you can put it as a polynomial, but this will generally not be a function. आपको इस तरफ से ही आएगा. ठीक है. Now next one is that do not exist wala case. In do not exist, only I'm doing for quadratic now. Okay. In do not exist, the thing will be that it will go like this. Not touch the x-axis at all. Not touch the x-axis at all. Acha. Here also some more. I don't know. Sometimes if your luck is bad. So let's understand one more thing. Our polynomial is given as what? Px is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. I'm talking only quadratic now. I'm talking quadratic. This a is known as my leading coefficient. क्या बोलते हैं? Leading coefficient. Who is leading coefficient? घर की बड़ी बहू कौन है? बड़े भाई की बीवी, जिसके डिग्री के साथ जो लगा हुआ है, he or she is known as the leading coefficient. If the leading coefficient can be positive, leading coefficient can be negative. Two cases. If the leading coefficient is positive, graph will always be concave upwards. ऊपर की तरफ खुलेगा. ये जान के रखिए, इसको हम कहते हैं concave upwards. पॉजिटिव है ना, तो जिंदगी में ऊपर की तरफ जाता है. नेगेटिव है तो जिंदगी में नीचे की तरफ जाता है. This is called concave down. If the leading coefficient is positive, the graph will always be concave upwards. Quadratic के लिए. If the leading coefficient is negative, the graph will always be concave down. One question which may come to you all here also may be, plot the graph. Freehand. पक्का जीरो मिलेगा. क्योंकि freehand में तो scale, there is no scale which makes you draw a graph. So when you plot a graph, what you'll get? You'll get something like this. Plot a graph means, say somebody gives you an equation somebody gives you an equation y equal to x square minus 3. Right? Is this a quadratic polynomial? Yes. Is this a quadratic polynomial? Yes. क्या पीने का क्या हुआ इसमें? क्यों पीना है? This is just नशा, पता है? इसको कोई प्यास नहीं लगा. He has to do something. वक्त तो मैं रहा हूँ 1 घंटे से, मैं नहीं पानी पी रहा हूँ, तो नहीं पी के देख तो रख रहा, यही रख, तेरे लिए ही है. So start concentrating on the class. Yeah. बिना पिए अभी क्लास अटेंड करो. So y equal to x square, that doesn't go for others, huh? Like she drank, I did not say anything. She usually does not drink. तुमको अभी ये पीना है, अभी 2 मिनट बाद ही तुम्हारा किडनी में यही कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा यूरिन, तुमको जाना है, बालकनी जाओगे तुम 2 मिनट बाद. इधर ध्यान देना, 1 घंटा कॉन्सेंट्रेट नहीं कर सकता है, समझ ले शौर्य पर आ रहा है. Okay, y equal to x square minus 3. So this is the quadratic polynomial. What is the leading coefficient? 1. 1 is positive. This graph has to open its mouth upwards, concave up. Now when you draw this graph, you will take various values of x and you will write it as x square minus 3. Typically we will always take a 0. So देखो इसमें कितना ब्यूटी है, हालांकि आपके कोर्स में नहीं है. y equal to x square is always a graph which originates from the origin. y equal to x square minus 3 means the graph will be offset to negative 3. यही ग्राफ खींचिंग मार के यहां से पास करेगा, negative 3 से पास करेगा. All this you can try. Okay, so x square minus 3, ma'am will tell you, say 5 points to be taken, take the 5 points, join them, and just make sure one thing, since this is positive, your graph should be opening upwards. Your graph should be opening upwards. अगर आपका ग्राफ ऐसा आ रहा है ना, तो you are wrong. Check your these values once again. Understood? Let's go for graphical interpretation for cubic polynomial. So in cubic, what is the maximum number of zeros? Max zeros are equal to 3. Therefore, a cubic polynomial will touch x-axis at 3 points. बस इतना ही याद रखो, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं याद. एग्जाम्पल देके बताइए सर, अगर ऐसा है, 1 बार टच किया, 2 बार टच किया, 3 बार टच किया, दिस इज अ क्यूबिक पॉलिनॉमियल. ओके, आर वी डन? वेरी गुड, चलते हैं आगे. So geometric interpretation is also done. Now quadratic and its zeros, we have done that. Degrees. Now we come to the next thing. Now we will talk a lot on quadratic quadratic polynomial, and we will talk also on cubic polynomial. Standard form is ax square plus bx plus c. Standard form ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d. Are we fine on both of this? No issues? Standard form. Okay. इसका जो zeros है, the normal way to write them is alpha and beta और इसका जो zeros है we will write them as alpha, beta, gamma. Okay, now relation between zeros and coefficients. Relation between zeros and coefficients. Eh, what nonsense. Relation between zeros and coefficients. Okay, now here we say there are two relations, sum of the roots or sum of the zeros, alpha plus beta, negative b upon a, and alpha beta is equal to c upon a. ठीक है, ऐसे प्रॉब्लम जब भी आप करेंगे ना, always write the standard form. Sometimes children get the question as 2x square plus 3, they write a alpha plus beta is equal to 4 by 7, b by a which is equal to 4 by 7. Who told you what is b? You write comparing with ax square plus bx plus c, a equal to this, b equal to this. So here we will have three relations because we have three. One is sum of the roots. Now see how to remember it. Sum of the roots will always be equal to जो पहला वाला कोफिशिएंट होता है उसका नेगेटिव, दैट इज माइनस बी बाई ए, नो डाउट अबाउट दैट. इसमें सेकंड वाला का हमारा होता है सम ऑफ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द टू रूट्स, प्रोडक्ट ऑफ रूट्स टेकन टू एट अ टाइम, सम ऑफ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ रूट्स टेकन टू एट अ टाइम प्लस गामा अल्फा इज इक्वल टू, नाउ माइनस द नेक्स्ट आफ्टर बी कम्स सी, सो इट विल ऑलवेज अल्टरनेट प्लस माइनस, सो इट बिकम्स सी अपॉन ए. ठीक है, and then the third one comes product of root alpha, beta, gamma. Now it will be always d by a minus plus again negative. Understood? Better understand. Okay, how to form the polynomial? The polynomial is said to be x square minus sum of roots x plus product of roots. Here the polynomial will be x cube minus sum of roots, tell me, sum of roots x square plus sum of product of roots taken two at a time x minus alpha, beta, gamma. Did you understand the logic? X square plus x minus plus minus plus plus minus plus minus. बीच वाला बीच में घुसारना पड़ेगा. यहाँ पे कहाँ है? क्यूब है, स्क्वायर है, एक्स है. हाँ, नहीं, डी बाई ए है, डी बाई ए होना चाहिए, अल्फा बीटा गामा माइनस डी बाई ए. देखो इसको बानिया कैसे याद रखते हैं, सम ऑफ द रूट्स इज बी बाई ए, सम ऑफ द रूट्स बी बाई ए, यहां भी सम ऑफ द रूट्स बी बाई ए, माइनस बी बाई ए माइनस बी बाई ए. बी के बाद कौन आता है? सी. वो पैटर्न रहेगा. इसमें बी के बाद कौन आता है? सी. लेकिन यहाँ पे प्रोडक्ट एक स्टेप नीचे आ जाता है, बीच में घुस जाता कौन है? Therefore never remember this as the third one, remember the product as the third one. That's the reason I wrote it like this. First is sum of roots, then is followed by sum of product of roots taken two at a time. So you have used b here, you use c here, you used minus here, you use plus here. b हो गया, c हो गया, फिर कौन बचा? d. d यहाँ यूज होगा, माइनस यूज हो चुका है, प्लस यूज हो चुका है, फिर से माइनस यूज होगा. अब यहाँ पे फिर देखिए एक्स स्क्वायर माइनस सम ऑफ रूट्स, यहाँ पे भी सम ऑफ रूट्स, लेकिन इसमें x हो गया, यहाँ पे x स्क्वायर होगा, फिर एक x आएगा, तो ये वाला. तो मन की बात में याद रखिए, ये x स्क्वायर वाला टर्म होगा, x क्यूब इंडिपेंडेंट होता है, ये x वाला टर्म होता है, और ये कांस्टेंट होता है. Have you understood? उसी तरह x स्क्वायर इंडिपेंडेंट होता है x, और ये कांस्टेंट होता है. Yo man, hey, how was fest? How many new Instagram requests after fest? Cultural fest, yeah. Thank you for correcting me, cultural.
I was just there in the evening.
Yeah, तुम क्या मैं दुख मारा क्या जाके सेंटी मार के आया? Oh, you didn't go?
I did go, but
हाँ.
I went in.
ठीक है, ऐसा क्या मैच खेलने जाते हो तुम? कौन सा मैच?
We had a tournament. It was still possible.
कल्चरल फेस्ट छोड़ के टूर्नामेंट जाते हो? हमेशा गलत टाइम पे गलत जगह पे रहते हो
छोड़ के नहीं.
और फिर आके इंस्टाग्राम में डालना सार्थक इज स्टिल अलाइव और व्हाट क्या डाला था?
Not blame.
और डू नॉट ब्लेम सार्थक. ओ यार, डू नॉट ब्लेम सार्थक.
I got balance.
Cultural fest boring. That too by Sarthak, who has got 40 Instagram IDs.
Hey, that means something.
That means something must have happened before the cultural fest that now the fox says grapes are sour.
Oh yeah, by the way we lost the match.
कौन सा? वो मैच वैच छोड़ो, वो सब अपने घर में मम्मी पापा को बोलो, मेरे को मत बोलो. I lost the match. तो वो मैच हार के आया होगा, किसी को कुछ भेजा होगा. सजनी ने फूल तो मारा पर गमले के साथ मारा. She did return a rose but with a vase. Okay, now next. This is done. Cubic done. Okay, now let's see the type of problems that you can get, children. Okay, the type of problems. Now please understand, here our topic is very easy, but problems come in very misleading way. Okay, one of the problems that we can get, please pay attention here, huh? You know how to do this, but exam में कभी-कभी confusion हो जाता है. One type will be finding zeros and verifying relation. This is a very, very probable problem. Very, very probable relation with coefficient. Achha. Finding zeros means in this question, zero will not be given to you. So what will be given to you is question में मान लीजिए आपको एक ऐसे दे दिया px equal to x square plus 7x plus 10. They will ask you, this is a typical 3 marker or a 2 marker, 3 marker, 3 marker. Find zeros and verify relationship. So our first step should be to find zeros. I'll not solve the problem. I'm just saying what should click in your mind. Find zeros means you again have to just factorize it. Factorize, because find zeros means px will be made equal to 0. So you factorize, you get two factors, f1 and f2 equal to 0. Solve each of them, f1 equal to 0, f2 equal to 0. This will give you alpha, this will give you beta. Have you understood? And how do you factorize it? MTS, middle term splitting. Now that you got alpha and beta, your second part is verification. And in here, if I am your examiner, I will expect that you write comparing with standard form. And what is the standard form? Ax square plus bx plus c. Px equal to ax square plus bx plus c. Then you write a equal to 1, b equal to 7, c equal to 10. And then you say alpha plus beta should be equal to minus b by a, which is equal to minus 7 by 1. And alpha beta should be equal to c by a, which is equal to 10 by 1. And this is one way you will show. And again, you have found them. So you just calculate what is alpha plus beta. You show the value. You show alpha beta, what is the value. And then you are supposed to show that blah blah was equal to blah blah and tla tla is equal to tla tla. Hence your question is done. समझ में आया? ऐसे क्वेश्चन में जीरो पहले निकालना होगा. ऐसे क्वेश्चन में you will not get a cubic, or somebody may give you a cubic like this also. कैसे cubic देगा? देखो, you may say, sir, you only told we will not get a cubic, so I did not learn. तो मैं क्या बोलूंगा? बोलूंगा जाओ कूदो नाले में. मैं क्या? Mine plus 7x square plus 10x. इसको देख के भी डरो मत. But nonsense. This is x into x square plus 7x plus 10. You know how to solve this? You know this. Either this is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. If this is equal to 0, x equal to 0. One value we have already got. And if this is equal to 0, middle term split and get it. You won't get a harsh cubic question because children, you don't know how to solve cubic questions. So you won't get anything harsh. But if you get something like this, don't come back on me and tell me, sir, cubic you said, ये कुछ cubic नहीं है, ये quadratic. अगर यहाँ पे x लगा के दिया ना, x can be squeezed out like a Dracula, sucking out blood. ठीक है पानी, मन विचलित हो रहा है तुम्हारा, ठीक है? ये वाले क्वेश्चन समझ में आए? ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आर very very likely, and the question bank has plethora of these questions. See, this chapter there is no question I said that you can omit, but once you see that 4 questions are of the same type but they are just changing the numbers, then definitely you can take a call. It means what? See, Vanya, आप जो बोल रहे थे ना 115, it means what? In the exam it may still go wrong. It went wrong because you did a calculation mistake. It did not go wrong because you didn't know how to do it. One is, मेरे को ये problem आता ही नहीं है. There I am helpless. One is I know the problem and I, like your languages, my bad, I made a silly mistake. That is the most sorry state of affair where we lost the match which we could have won. If we don't know, we can't do anything. So when you are doing problems, sometimes you may get some problems which make you understand how to do. Some problems will be more repetitive. They brush that skill of yours which makes it, no matter how you give, I'll always be correct. Enhances your calculation skill. Like say, finding the roots of this particular or the zeros of this. This is a very simple problem. I now put roots into it. मैं root डाल के देता हूँ. Are you getting it? So where should you brush yourself? Go to R.S. Agarwal grade 9, that factorization of polynomials. There are 7-8 problems which are only involving roots. Prepare for the worst. Don't you know how to do this problem? Yes. But sir, you know in exam they gave this number with a root, radical sign. So I lost marks.
The express 65 problems.
65 problems. How many different type of chocolates are there and ice creams are there in Baskin Robbins? You know that, so you should also know this. Can't help it. Chale aage. Chalo. Time is running out. Hard stop at 11:30 today. Okay, this is done, this is done, this is done. Next type of problem that we may get, again misleading means verify zeros and verify relationship. This is another type of problem. Okay, verify zeros and verify relationship means in this type of problem, what will be given to you? They will give you what is the polynomial, ये भी दिया रहेगा, and they will also give you the values of alpha and beta. They will give you. They're saying verify zeros. So what should be done? First you do P of alpha and you show that it is 0. That means this is a 0. Okay, they will not say alpha and beta. They will say, they will give here 2 numbers. They'll just give you 2 numbers, C and D, and they will say, verify that C and D are zeros. Now, how do you verify C and D's are zeros? You verify them by first putting P of C and you show it is 0, and P of D, you show that it is 0. Clear? Then verify relationship. So you should show C plus D should be equal to minus B by A, and CD should be equal to C by A. Now here, be ready to make your face like this, because such a question will never come in quadratic. This will always come in cubic. इसमें आपका मेहनत ज़्यादा है. So instead of C and D, they will give you C, D, E. So you have to show P of C equal to 0, P of D equal to 0, and P of E equal to 0. Obviously, the parent polynomial will be given to you, which will be a cubic polynomial in the form of, this is the standard form I am writing, they may give you in their form. दे दिया रहेगा. And then verify the relationship means you have to do alpha plus beta plus gamma. Not alpha, beta, gamma. C plus D plus E. C plus D plus E. Then you have to show. फिर C plus E plus D बोलूँगा तो आप फिर confuse हो जाओगे. इसको M and M करो. M, N, O are 3 numbers. So show P of M equal to 0. Show P of N is equal to 0. Show P of O is equal to 0. This is O is equal to 0. And then you show the 3 relationship, M plus N plus O, Mn plus No plus Om, and you also show MNO. this should be equal to minus b by a, this should be equal to c by a, this should be minus d by a. This is another type of problem. Confuse mat ho jana. What was the difference? पहले वाले में you evaluated the zeros by factorization. इस वाले में numbers दिए रहेंगे. They'll ask you show that they are zeros. तो पहले show करो. And this. ये problem 3 marks में qualify हो जाता है because इसमें labor ज़्यादा है. That I told you already. X square minus that. I'm coming to that also.
Like a 1 0.
I'm coming to that. Okay, Nimish. Movie is there. पहले drag करके मत देखो like Netflix. Okay. From morning I'm going. So 1 revision, 2 revision. Their revisions are okay. Verify zeros. After that, the next type of question that you can get is form polynomial. Form polynomial. This problem can again come in quad or cube. I've already discussed this. Quad होने से x square minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta. Cubic होने से x cube minus alpha plus beta plus gamma x square plus alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha x plus alpha beta gamma. Minus, sorry. अरे कर लो यार, सर बुढ़ा हो गया, इतना मजा आता है तुमको ये सब. माइनस है बस, हो गया. ठीक है. Okay. You should also have a glimpse and knowledge because it will be used of remainder theorem. Remainder theorem. Okay. Remainder theorem, and this is the last part of the chapter of Gyan part. Remainder theorem and factor versus zero. Some Gyan on these things. Okay. Remainder theorem. Now. Okay. First is factor versus zero. If you have alpha and beta as the zeros of a quadratic polynomial ax square plus bx plus c, then x minus alpha and x minus beta has to be a factor of that polynomial. Always. In fact, this you will use a lot in quadratic and this mixed question, where they will tell you that out of 2 of this, ये 2 करके नहीं देगा, वो आपको कैसे देगा? I'll tell you. They'll give you a quadrinomial. Quadrinomial should have how many factors? How many zeros? 4 zeros. So how the question will come, I'll show you like this. See, they will give you a quadrinomial. Means this will be in x to the power 4 format. Okay. X to the power 4 means how many zeros you should have? 4 zeros. They will give you 2 zeros and 2 zeros they will leave blank. Have you understood?
Yeah.
Yes. And then they will ask you, find these 2 zeros. So say these 2 zeros are x, or I can write x. So say these 2 zeros are, say m and n are the 2 zeros given to me. So I use this property that x minus m into x minus n must be a factor. This must be, see, this must be a factor, this must be a factor. So product of 2 should also be a factor. 8's factor is what? 2 and 4. Product of 2 and 4 is how much? 8. 8 is a factor of 8. 16's factor is 2, 4, 8. Multiply any 2 factors. So 2 into 4, 8. 8 is a factor. 1 into 4 is a factor. So these 2's product must be a factor of this. Now just imagine I have a quad. This is not quadrinomial. My brain has gone for a toss. This is quartic polynomial. This is quartic, okay? Quartic. Quadrinomial means 4 terms. Nobody is correcting me also. That means you all also have forgotten. Quadrinomial means polynomial is many, trinomial 3, binomial 2, quadrinomial 4. So I have a quartic polynomial. That means the degree is how much, beta? 4. And I divide it with its product of factors x minus m into x minus n. Here degree is how much? 2. Do you agree? Since this is a factor, remainder must come 0. And whatever quotient you will come, that quotient will be another polynomial, say Rx, whose degree will be 2. Has to be, because 2 plus 2 should be matching 4. Sir, you mean to say if this degree was 3 and I was dividing by, say, x minus m, that means I'm dividing with a linear, then also you should get a quadratic. 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 2, this. Always this logic has to work. Therefore, you get the quotient polynomial. So take the quotient polynomial, which is again quadratic, and do its middle term splitting. You get the value of the remaining two zeros. Who has not understood? This is a 5-marker question. Okay, बड़ा question है. एक बार फिर से करते हैं पहले लॉजिक समझते हैं. लॉजिक क्या है? If a polynomial, let's go by quadratic first. Quadratic polynomial में बेटा कितने zeros हो सकते हैं? 2 zeros. Which are the 2 zeros? Alpha and beta. Then x minus alpha and x minus beta will always be a factor of the polynomial. ठीक है? अब यहां पे थोड़ा सा catch. Say they give you the value of alpha as -3 and beta as -2. I always told you x minus alpha means x minus -3. X minus alpha, x minus beta means in this case it will become x plus 3 and x plus 2. You should have that much common sense. X minus alpha, x minus beta will be a factor. Sir, can we extend this to cubic? Why not? In a cubic polynomial, if you have alpha, beta, gamma as the zeros, then x minus alpha, x minus beta, x minus gamma are the factors. Sir, in a quartic, alpha, beta, gamma, I am not naming the fourth one. So the fourth one is Sarthak. So x minus alpha, x minus beta, x minus gamma, x minus Sarthak should be a factor. Based on this, what type of question they may give us? They will give us a quartic polynomial. X4 minus 3x cube plus 2x square minus 7x plus something. Quartic. And quartic has got 4 zeros. They will reveal 2 zeros to you and not reveal the other 2. ठीक है, समझ में आया? हमें 2 जीरो रिवील किया. क्या क्या रिवील किया? m and n. तो हम ये जानते हैं x minus m should be a factor, x minus n should be a factor, factor into factor should also be a factor. देखो ना, जैसे आप 16 को ले लो, 16 के फैक्टर्स क्या क्या है? 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. इन दोनों को मल्टीप्लाई करो तो कितना होता है? 8. Is 8 not a factor of 16? Yes. Is 4 into 1 not a factor of 16? Yes. So these two should also be a factor of the parent polynomial. Now you put them under long division. Product of the two factors and the original quartic polynomial. Do you want me to clean it and write? I'll clean it and write. No issues, beta. So what we do here is that we will now arrange our given quartic polynomial. लेकिन याद रहे इसका डिग्री कितना है? 4. This is now being divided by x minus m into x minus n. Obviously this is quadratic now, degree is equal to 2. If I divide this by this, I will get my quotient as another polynomial sum Rx whose degree will also be equal to 2. अभी मजा क्या है? हमको तो 4 zeros था. This had 4 zeros. M, N and Sonu and Monu. है ना? Sonu and Monu. Sonu and Monu are basically hidden here. Sonu and Monu are hidden here. ये दो तो ये से मिल गए. सार्थक शौर्य यहाँ पे है. सोनू मोनू इधर है. तो अभी हम क्या करेंगे कि Rx को फैक्टराइज करेंगे मिडिल टर्म स्प्लिटिंग में. तो आपको दो फैक्टर मिल जाएगा. It will be x minus Sonu, x minus Monu. So both will be equal to 0. Two factors will get. Who is messaging? Angad Singh, grade 9. He got dose today. So obviously, dose ka prakop hai. Now he will try to prove, sir, I was correct in class. Oh, broken record hai iska, kuch nahi ho sakta. Have you understood this type of problem? Okay. Next, I also had to discuss something called, okay, remainder. Hope you know what is remainder theorem. So how do you find remainder? Nobody will ask you to find a remainder out here. If the remainder is 0, something divided by something, okay, class 9 basic एक बार देख लें, remainder theorem. Let's say we have a polynomial px. Okay, ऐसे देखते हैं, 9 divided by 2, 2 4s are 8 and then 1. तो हम इसको कैसे लिखते हैं? 9 is equal to 2 into 4 plus 1. So we write like this. That means dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. Do we write it like this? Yes. Now bring this into the polynomial language. We'll bring this into the polynomial language. It's something like this, that suppose I have a polynomial p of x and I'm trying to divide it with a polynomial g of x. Then I get a quotient q of x, and after doing everything I get a remainder r of x, right? So what do I write it? I write like this, that p of x is equal to g of x into q of x plus r of x. देखो तो वही वाला चीज दिखाना, right? Now here what do we say? Next we say if acha, when does division stop? Division always, sorry, no problem. When does the division stop? The division always stops when the remainder is less than the divisor. So we'll put that logic here also. Here division will stop when rx is less than qx. But how do you know less? Yeah, less नहीं होता है. Degree of rx has to be less than the degree of, not qx, gx, the divisor. Degree of the remainder should be less than the degree of the divisor. Now what we say, if divisor is linear, say divisor is linear, then degree should be equal to how much? 1.
Yeah.
अभी देखो ये कैसा है, ये वो बताया था ना, मेल चौविनिस्ट जैसा. If I am class 10 pass, my wife should be class 10 fail. I don't want equal education of my wife. तो वैसा ही है, if the divisor is degree 1, the remainder should be less than. तो remainder का डिग्री क्या होना चाहिए? 0. 0 डिग्री मतलब कैसा है? Constant. So then the remainder we will no more write as r of x, but we will write it as r, because it becomes a constant. So, and let's say the divisor which is gx, linear को हम कैसे लिखें? We write it as x minus c. This is a linear polynomial. Now how does the equation look like? P of x is equal to x minus a into q of x plus r. Means this was the parent statement. Then we made a subjective statement that if you have linear, remember, remainder theorem works only when the divisor is linear. Not always, only when the divisor is linear. So if you make the divisor linear, your remainder becomes constant. Clear? Now you say if x is equal to a, अगर x equal to a हो जाता है तो देखो तो p of a, because x is equal to a, you have to make it p of a is equal to a minus a, q of a plus r. This whole thing has now become 0. That means the remainder is equal to p of a. Sir, why? How does it help you? It helps me because I need not do the long division. Looking at the divisor, you can straight away predict what will be the remainder. But remember, in the real world, the divisor may come like this. यहीं पे हम दिमाग लगाते हैं, हालांकि ये कोई पूछेगा नहीं आपको. The divisor may come, say the g of x कितने रूप धारण कर सकता है, कोई ऐसे दे दिया आपको. Then the value of a is what? Equal to 3. कोई आपको g of x ऐसे दे दिया, 3 by 2 x minus 4. फंस गए हम. So always remember, the value of a is the 0 of g of x. Yes, equate g of x to 0 always. g of x is equal to 0, x minus 3 equal to 0, so x is equal to 3. Exactly this. That means your a is equal to 3. And in this problem, we'll say x will be equal to 4. And then into 2 divided by 3, which is 8 by 3. That will be your a's value will be equal to 8 by 3. Yes, zarurat nahi padta hai, just remember it. Remainder theorem. Nothing more. Then some more questions may come like this. Okay, one last type of question, and then we leave. Last type of question may be that you get a problem where the polynomial is given to you as, say, 7x cube plus 3x square plus 2x minus or plus k. Find the value of k such that when px is divided by gx equal to x minus 4, leaves remainder as so and so or remainder as blah blah. So all we have to do is long division, and if it is linear, don't do long division. How to get the remainder now? How to get the remainder? We will straight away do p of 4. So p of 4 will give us the remainder, and the remainder will have a k term, will have a k, because this is, you don't know, and they say this exactly divides this. That means the remainder should be equal to 0. You can solve the value of k. Or if they say find the value of k for which this divided by this leaves 2 by 3 as the remainder, then equate this to 2 by 3. That's all. Nothing more in this chapter. Give your best to work out and solve. As I say, now there will be some days where you will love to take a break from the school. If you have some things like submit copies, practical copies, offload it to the mothers. काम दो उनको भी. वो सब बेकार का काम है, आपका काम नहीं है. आपका काम ये है. So that by the time once your pre-board question comes good to you, and your what do you call pre-board 1 and pre-board 2, right? Then your confidence will grow up very nicely. And these are chapters. This is a chapter which is very, very scoring. In fact, with this, I always say we should do quadratic equation because both are linked to each other. अब आप क्या करो, हो सकता है 1 or 2 formats I have not been able to touch. I don't deny that. That thing has to come from you. Tomorrow, please come with your laptops and please come with your copies and please come with knowledge of the last class. We will be doing extensive numericals, only numericals on mirror, 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 not fraction, no lens. All our problems will be on mirror, mirror, mirror. And if we think that we have done enough on mirror, we move to lens. And then the first part of the problem in lens will be refractive index oriented. Second part will be lens formula oriented. And after that done, third chapter will again be completely theoretical. खूबसूरत दुनिया और इंसानी आँख. Yes. There hardly you will, there's no, because if a myopic question or a power question comes, that will do in this chapter itself. But there we will try to solve one paper. Want to see how you write. Saying so, have you started this exercise for biology? Have you started this exercise for social studies and your second language? If not, wake up, boy. Time to catch the bus. Hey, get lost. बहुत देर हो गया. Right.